Alright, Southern Wolverine here with some more Rome 2 action. For a change of pace, we got an ambush battle here. I'm defending as Rome, and I'm being ambushed by the Swebi in the Battle of the Teutoberg Forrest, which is appropriate because these would have been exactly the forces that were involved in the historical encounter. So here's my general leading out the column. This battle's really short, so I'm going to pause it to go through the forces, or at least through my forces. We'll see the Swebi as they reveal themselves. So I've got the Legatus unit, of course, 3 units of auxiliary cavalry leading the column. I have this single unit of levies, and they're here sort of to counter elites, just a cheap missile troop to help put javelins into enemy forces. Preferably the very elite, very unarmored berserkers or something like that. I have a couple units of Eagle Court, 2 of them, and then 6 units of Evocati cohort, and 2 units of Triarii spear troops are bringing up the rear. You see now I'm facing the mass assault from the, a bunch of sword masters, 3 units of them at least, some skirmishers, there's a couple units of berserkers in here as well, and the cavalry forces are still hidden at the moment. But they're about to throw these fireballs down into me, or at least try. So actually I'm going to start this in slow motion. So you can see the reactions of the troops. So these fireballs weren't super well situated, so these ones aren't really going to do anything, and these ones are taking a while to get going, even taking into account the fact that it's in slow motion. So immediately the whole rear of my line, seeing contacts in these trees and seeing fire spring up, is going to run back and try to form a line here as well as it can, just to have some sort of contiguous formation. And these troops are still sort of marching, but they're going to come up to, form a reinforcement line. And immediately the cavalry starts running across this this is a field, and this is actually a pond, some shallow water. So they're actually going to run across here, head into these woods, and try to get a flank on these guys, since actually this giant cliff is sort of protecting my other flank for me. Now, some of these fireballs did get going finally downhill and slapped into my Evocati. So that one did some pretty good damage, 25 kills, and this one's going to do another, 10 or so. And these berserkers are leading the charge, so they're going to, be demoralizing me. And this is what I'm worried about, is the morale shock from these Evocati. See, this guy's got a javelin in his back now. Still just keeps fighting. He doesn't care. So this is sort of happening all down this front wave. These berserkers are coming in, looking for this morale effect. Got some missiles coming in there, try and thin these guys out. Fire arrows. So I'm taking some serious morale penalties here. See, I'm getting that frightened by unit note on those guys. Here's a 3rd unit of berserkers coming in, and yet another unit of berserkers coming into this Evocati cohort as well. And now here's the real, elite swordmaster units. These guys actually have some decent armor too. So I'm trying to get some numbers on these guys. And unfortunately the Eagle cohorts are not in the fight, but this should be close enough to be giving some inspirational effect to these guys. I'm a little bit worried about my morale. You see, I'm getting charged downhill, so I'm suffering, losing in most of these fights. This unit's actually wavering. This is the unit that took all those fire hits. They got hit by fire arrows. And they're fighting against these berserkers who have morale penalties. So this is what I'm afraid, that some of these units will start to take all these penalties, start to rout out of here, and start a chain rout. So I'm just trying to throw bodies into this fight. I figure if I can just hold on for a while and outlast this initial morale penalty, I'll actually be able to pull this out, just because of my heavily armored infantry will be able to outlast these guys pretty well. So we got a big melee going across the whole front. The Eagle cohorts are coming in to help. Meanwhile, the unit of Triarii is just sort of stuck in with a whole bunch of sword masters and cavalry, and a couple units of these night hunters that also have a morale penalty associated with them, I believe. So these scout riders and noble horse and stuff are going to get out of there, as he sees now, and my cavalry's coming through the trees here to try to get an ambush on these guys to save my left flank. Because these Evocati have been fighting those berserkers, they were downhill. So they managed not to break in those early moments, and now the fight's going to start to turn my way as I'm hurling these cavalry into the fight to try to get rid of this unit. Because if I can get these guys free, they can start to roll down the line. Also now these berserkers, their charge abilities are starting to run out that were all used right at the outset. So now they're exhausted as well, which is the downside of using those. Yeah. So now these noble riders are going to start to go, and I'm just going to start pushing numbers. Numbers pushing this way. So still just a big general brawl along this line. Fortunately for me, I was able to keep troops from coming in on two sides of me. So by being able to draw a battle line up like this, I'm able to turn this back into more of a traditional battle and negate some of the negative effects of the ambush. So here, again, some of those guys got out of that center fight and are trying to turn this one around. These units are wavering. And these Triarii they're getting beat up, but they're holding back here like champions against these lightly armored Night Hunters. I'm sure these were a source of frustration as they were holding on to this whole flank for some time. But now the heavy infantry are carrying this battle, and the Roman legions have the upper hand. So these sword masters are routing out, and that's pretty much it. These Night Hunters are not going to be able to last long, and they are going to rout from army casualties. Yeah, so that battle's lightning quick, 3.5 minutes. These ambush battles are quick and intense. I did have some of those units that took those first strikes from the fireballs, and then from those berserkers charging down on them. Took quite a bit of damage. But the sort of second wave troops are able to get set up a little bit better, and the Eagle cohorts that came in after the fight was joined didn't suffer a lot of losses and were able to carry the fight for me. The cavalry were also useful coming in on the flank. And the levies actually did a surprising amount of damage shooting at berserkers, so I consider them well worth the 220 talents they cost. So in any case, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And this is Southern Wolverine signing off.